Newborns typically eat 8 to 12 times out of each 24-hour period, and so that means that they're wanting to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and sometimes even every hour. And it's important to nurse new babies on demand because they're experiencing frequent growth spurts and need almost constant nourishment to feed their body's needs. In addition, their tummies are small and can't hold much volume, so they need to eat small amounts very frequently out of each 24-hour period. It's important to watch for signs that your baby's hungry. They'll give you cues, and after you spend enough time with your baby, you'll begin to recognize these feeding cues and feed them before they get into a crying frenzy when they're just so hungry that it's kind of hard to get them to latch on appropriately. So watch for them to bring their fists to their mouth. They may just kind of move their head from side to side and root, or stick their tongue out, or just kind of nuzzle into your chest where they try to find the breast on their own. So if you're seeing your baby doing these things, then feed them. Most newborns shouldn't go longer than 4 hours between feedings, and so if you have a baby that's coming home from the hospital, or even during the first month they're sleeping through the night, talk with your pediatrician to make sure that's okay, because you'll like it from a parent's standpoint because you may be sleeping better, but it's important to make sure that they're getting the calories and nutrition that they need around the clock to grow. And your pediatrician, based on their circumstances, can tell you if it's okay to let them sleep or if you need to be waking them up to feed them more frequently. Around 4 to 6 weeks, a baby will start to eat 3 to 4 ounces every 3 to 4 hours. This is a good rule of thumb, although some drink a little bit less and some a little more. But their tummies are getting bigger, so they can hold more volume, and more volume at each feeding means they don't need to eat as frequently during the day. So 7 to 9 feedings is typical versus the 8 to 12 during the first 6 weeks of life. As the months go on, like usually between 3 and 4 months, a baby will continue to eat every 3 to 4 hours, but the amount they drink at each session will increase slightly. And their schedule will become a little more predictable. So eating every 3 to 4 hours and actually sleeping about 5 to 7 hours at night without needing to eat because they're drinking more during the day. Some parents have questions about how long each nursing session should actually take. In the beginning, as babies and parents are getting over the learning curve that's associated with breastfeeding, it may be normal for like a newborn to take 30 minutes on both sides. A good goal is to have them rhythmically sucking for about 15 minutes on each side. And again, like I said, this could take 30 minutes to achieve that. But as the baby gets better and as mom becomes more familiar with breastfeeding, they can be very efficient eaters and actually empty each side in only 5 to 10 minutes. And so each nursing session may only be 10 to 20 minutes instead of an hour long. It's easy to become obsessed with how much your baby's drinking and how often, and it's good to pay attention to it. But ultimately, the most important things are the signs that your baby's getting enough, no matter how much volume they're drinking. So you want to make sure that they're having at least 6 wet diapers a day, they're having regular bowel movements, they're seeming satisfied after feedings, they're happy, meeting milestones, and gaining the appropriate amount of weight as determined by the pediatrician. So if you have any questions about your baby, be sure to talk with the pediatrician, and based on their knowledge of your baby's circumstances and growth curves in the past and their ability to ask you more specific questions about your baby's eating patterns and sleeping patterns and temperament, they'll be able to give you tailored information and advice. If you have more questions in the future for me, feel free to ask them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Intermountain Moms, and recommend us to your friends and family too.